can rise from ash. Jade, Lavender, and Scarlet Phoenix power. Together we will rise. They tried to burn us, we bloom like a flower. They didn't know we had a Phoenix's power. Phoenix power.
What's up, Phoenix Nation? How you doing? It's your girl, Jade Phoenix here. We are live. The color wheel is spinning. Hey, y'all. Hi.
Ay.
What are you sounding like Alpha 5 right now? What's going on with you?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
It all started
Well,
when I was born.
if you haven't noticed, Lavender is in the house.
Yay! Hello, all.
Doing her best Alpha 5 impression.
I really tried there. You know, I appreciate that you understood the reference because my whole life is just stringing a bunch of references together that I think are funny that no one understands.
I think so.
No.
I think so.
She wasn't ready.
No.
She wasn't ready.
Well, we're also joined once again by a former guest who decided to brave the insanity once again. Why? One will never know why they would subject themselves to the color wheel's machinons again, but welcome back, Nous! Hey!
Yay! So nice he liked it twice.
Hello.
He's back!
Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
You're
What
welcome.
actually possessed you to come back?
I like the self-torture. That's why.
You're a masochist.
Masochism! Why?
What a stupid lamb. What a,
What a
masochistic
masochistic
lion.
Oh my god.
Sorry, y'all.
No, you're
You know what? I'm not fucking sorry. I'm never going to be sorry.
Why would you ever be sorry? Literally, there is not a single week that goes by with the gate, even when we're on vacation, that fucking Twilight is not fucking mentioned.
The muchness is muching.
I hate that fucking.
No, you don't.
Totally do. No, I will not give it. Vampires don't fucking sparkle.
That's why I love the theory that they might just be fairies.
Please, Nous, weigh in on this insanity. Feed her Twilight addiction.
I love Twilight.
She has the biggest twihard dick.
I love it.
Like,
It's awful, but I love it. That's why I love it, because it's so bad it's good.
I literally send her just to be an asshole's Twilight shitposting posts.
They're the best. I'm in a group. I'm in the Twilight sewer posting group with all the fellow ratties.
My goodness.
The April Fool's joke this year was that the girl that runs it is also named Kayla, which I think is really funny. And she pretended they gave the login apparently to Jackson Rathbone, which was the joke. So we decided that Kayla's actually Jackson Rathbone.
I mean, considering the fact that we have TikTokers that got famous for doing the constipated face.
Constipated Jasper.
Constipated Jasper
God.
face with the fucking filter that gives the
my
golden
God.
eyes.
I wish I could. I think her name is. What is her name? I fucking love her.
She's from New York, apparently.
I love her. I just can't think of her first name right now, and I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly, but those videos literally live rent-free in my head, and all I do is send them to other people.
In all honesty, I will admit, as much as I hate Twilight, I do watch them.
Come on, top-tier meme content. If anything else, top-tier meme content.
Feed her addiction. Feed it. Feed it.
Feed
Do it.
Do
Do it.
I don't know what you want me to feed exactly. Is there
Do you know
anything
about Twilight?
No.
Have you
I haven't
ever
read-
seen the Twilight movies?
I have seen a couple of them, but not like.
Have you ever read the books?
No, I'm not gonna go out of my way to read the books.
But they're so fun! And Bella's an absolute crackhead in the books.
I believe it.
It's so funny because Kristen, as much as I love Kristen Stewart, K-Stu, I love you, and I love that you're as protective of Bella as we are. And you also understand that she's like a delusional teenager, so of course she's a whack job.
Main
But
character syndrome.
Bella in the movies is so like toned down. Like in the book, she's an absolute menace to
She's
fucking society.
feral.
It's amazing.
She is fucking feral.
She's so nuts.
It's
I love it. The amount of like nuts Bella content, but even better when you find out just how feral and nuts Edward is in Midnight Sun.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's hilarious.
I've actually I
Love
do
Midnight Sun.
have the book. I don't have the audiobook. I actually might download it just for fucking shits and gigs.
It would be great if they just had a really good narrator who did it, because I'm telling you that
The
book
dynamic.
is unhinged.
Listen. This is a shout out to Audible. Audible, you should definitely sponsor us because I'm obsessed with you. And okay, prime example, Zodiac Academy. They blew through those fucking books on Audible, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Fucking, there's 12 or more books in this fucking series. There's 12 in just the main series. It's not counting the little half books that you get in between. I listened to Kayla, when did I start listening to those?
Probably,
February?
like, in February, yeah.
And I finished in May.
Amazing.
No, I finished
Hot.
in April. Fuck that. I finished in April. I know for a fact I finished the final book and the very last week, very beginning of April, May.
Yeah.
12 fucking Audible books, motherfucker.
We love you, Audible.
Okay, the dynamic audio is unbeaten on Audible.
Agreed. I listened to it as well.
It is because also like Nous, you and I were having a discussion about this actually the other day about people who cannot see things in their minds.
Yes.
And I'm like, can you? And you said that you can.
Yeah, and oh man, and I could hear my own inner monologue.
Yeah. And apparently, like, we were talking about it, and it turns out that dynamic audio was created because there are people out there that cannot imagine things in their brain. They can't see it. And I was like, that sounds so sad.
Like, I know, I think I even remember hearing people talk about just like, oh, can you picture an apple in your mind? I'm like, and I know I was like, I'm just like, of course I can do it. Who the heck can't do it? And then just like,
Can you do it?
and then,
Yes.
Okay.
and then there's just like some people just like, I can't do that. It's like, what the hell do you mean you can't do it?
Oh, okay. I have an interesting question for the table. I have an interesting question.
Okay.
When you picture an apple in your mind, what color and shape is your apple?
Red and round.
So
Pretty
like
much.
like a Macintosh?
I think of like the apple from Snow White.
Macintosh.
I'm thinking just a regular apple.
A regular
so red
apple.
delicious.
Like literally like a realistic apple.
Red delicious.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that most people use.
Yeah.
Okay. So neither of you think outside of the box like me. Got it.
I mean,
Okay, then
I
what
could.
do you think of?
Green ones.
The Granny Smith.
I think of Granny Smiths. Whenever somebody tells me to picture an apple in my mind, I think of a Granny Smith apple.
I think what's interesting about that too is it also relates to your like relation of an apple, right? Because when I think of apple, like my favorite princess growing up and always will be is Snow White, right? So I think of Snow White.
Do I hear John Cena in
yeah.
the background?
Yeah, it's John Cena's coming on to SmackDown.
Digi Nan, his TV is way too loud.
But the other thing too is like when I think of a red apple, I also think of my favorite juice is apple juice. And my favorite brand of apple juice has a red apple on the front. So whenever I think of an apple, I think of, because I didn't like actually eating physical apples just because of texture stuff
Yeah.
until I was much older. So like I always loved apple juice and apple flavored things and apple sauce.
Well, you did just have a sour apple lollipop.
Yeah, like I love the flavor of apple, but it took a while for me to actually like physically eating an apple. So whenever I thought of an apple, I thought of how it was pictured in all the things I liked, like apple juice on applesauce
They always do
packets.
use the red
ones.
apple, Macintosh or Red Delicious. is
Exactly.
like the poster child of apples.
Like, so that's what I think of, I think. So I think it makes sense because we all imagine things based on our direct relations to them.
So, Phoenix Nation, I want to know on our social media, when you are told to picture an apple, what kind of apple you think
See.
about? What do you see? I want to know.
If you can see one at
If you
all.
can see an apple at all in your head, because maybe you're one of those rare people that has absolutely no ability to visualize. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's rare, I think. I don't know.
You see, I think my problem is even when I do visualize things, it's always like the worst things that I visualize like the most vividly.
Really?
I made myself cry as a kid because I was reading the Chronicles of Narnia,
Oh no.
and I so vividly pictured that one
Aslan?
scene with Aslan. But like the problem is that kind of stuff I almost visualize even sharper than other things, and I don't know why, and I just upset myself.
Emotional
And it's
damage.
always been like that.
Well, I think that's a good segue to today's topic. Dating in 2025.
I'd rather be stabbed on the table with Aslan, bro.
Post-COVID. Post-COVID.
Post-COVID.
Because COVID really did change the world of dating.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, being stuck indoors for almost a year straight, months at a time, unless you were, like, quote unquote essential, where the only form of communication, which had been prevalent for a long time in the dating community, actually, which was socials, was dating apps, was, meet cute kind of websites. Those, and it's actually one of the things that I actually do quote a lot from one of my favorite movies, which is He's Just Not That Into You. I love that movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. And one of the things that, believe it or not, one of the characters in there says, no one meets organically anymore. If I meet somebody and I'm interested in this guy, I want, and I want to get to know him. He gives me his email. And then, like, if I email him, he'll give me his pager number. And then I'll leave a message on his pager and he'll call me back on my fax. And it's like, I'm tired and confused. And it's just no one meets organically anymore. You can't just go out to a bar or go out to a club, or go out to a farmer's market, or wherever the fuck people meet people. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I don't meet people. I hate people. And meet somebody and be like, dun, 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 I want to talk to this person. Let's exchange phone numbers or contact info and blah.
I fully agree. And I feel like it's just gotten harder since COVID. Because look, I'm somebody that dating apps are actually really hard for me. Because I struggle with texting, period. And it's not that I don't care about being communicative or I don't feel like people are worthy of my communication.
You're a very good communicator.
I am, but I have trouble texting. Like, it's very difficult for me to keep up with multiple conversations at a time. So it's like I might text back to one thread, but like it's difficult for me to then text the 3 other people that are trying to text me. Or I struggle with like a lot of object permanence.
Oh,
so for example,
same.
if I am not totally locked in, and I'm learning this with my therapist right now, that I need to learn that it's okay if I can't answer right away, and people aren't going to be, hopefully, really mad at me for not answering right away. I just really struggle. Like if it's not something that I'm looking at 24/7, I forget it exists, and I accidentally ghost people on these types of dating apps all the time without meaning to. And then I feel horrible because it's like 2 months later and it's like time has just zoomed by. And I was like, oh, that's right. I was supposed to answer this text message. And it's like 2 months later.
Oopsie.
So like that's like, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
I do that too, though.
I'm still getting over some travel gunk, but it's really difficult for me. So like I prefer to meet people organically, but like that's just not like the way of the world anymore.
I agree.
And I think it also depends on like where you are, right? Like
Oh my God.
when I was in Florida, Florida, granted, people are nutty in Florida. It was so much easier to meet people in Florida. Like men were so much more willing to just shoot their shot, talk to you, have a conversation, ask you to dance at the club. And then as soon as I moved back to New York, and I literally had to move back to New York because of COVID,
Yeah.
because all the entertainment jobs were gone.
Bye.
It's like it's not the same thing. I feel like people are very full of themselves. They feel that you either need to approach them, and if you approach them, it's a very hit or miss.
It's something I want to say that I've heard said. People in the South are very nice. They are not kind.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah.
Where people in the North, especially New Yorkers, we are not nice, but we are very kind.
I would fully agree there. But it is definitely hard if you're like someone who likes to organically date and no one will talk to anybody at a bar. You know, like
What about you, Nous? Like, it's got to be so different as a dude to date in this day and age. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because like girls, like, listen, I'll fucking blow it up for our species. All we gotta do is just show a little cleave, and we got it.
maybe for some of y'all.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna say this now because of this day and age now in like 2025. When it comes to dating, you know, I'm sure for you ladies, when it comes to dating apps, you probably got like 1,000,001 dudes just all blowing up those DMs.
No,
I
not
do have
necessarily.
I do have 400 guys still on my backlog on Hinge.
My point exactly.
When I was on dating apps, believe it or not, actually, I never really got a lot of attention. Shocking.
Okay.
And it's actually true also for me, and Lavender can attest to this. Guys don't talk to me. They don't try to talk to me. They don't try to shoot their shot with me. And honestly, for the longest time, I thought it was because I was ugly or too fat or just, you know.
I think you're just intimidating.
There it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
I figured.
All roads lead to
Intimidation.
Your life. Bing bang.
In my case, it's like one of those things where, like, I'll match with like a good amount of people, but then like, you know, they're not gonna say anything. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'll start the conversation.
Initiation.
I'll initiate the conversation, right? And then they'll respond, and then I'll respond back, and then crickets.
I'm sorry if I've ever been that person to anybody. I just have the attention span of a goldfish.
It's true. She does. Like, okay, so you have no, like, again, I mean, maybe you don't, maybe you do. It is so freaking disheartening. And again, I'm going to use my personal experience here.
Yeah.
To be told constantly, you're so beautiful, you're so hot, you're so this, you're so that, and then never have a man or a woman, since I am bisexual, shoot their shot with you.
Babe, I get it. Like,
It
honestly,
makes you think that everybody's a liar.
Thank you, because like that is one of the most upsetting experiences, I think, for anybody, but like especially as a woman. Like, as I said, I can't seek external I can't seek validation about myself from external sources. But it made me feel a lot better when I went somewhere in Europe where they're more open about their advances. And people were openly flirting with me. And it made me feel good. Because I was convinced for the longest time that I was just so ugly. Because between this group, like, a guy has never bought me a drink at a bar. Like, a guy has
I've
never
never had that happen.
advanced to talk to me at a bar.
I've
Yeah,
not.
he's never got me one either.
Really?
How dare man not buy you a bar?
But you know, like, because all these girls around me would talk about these shared experiences of like, oh, these guys were like totally dancing with me at the club, or they were doing this, or they were buying me drinks, or they bought me this or that, and I would just stand there.
Or
and
how many times were
nothing was happening for me?
How many times would somebody just talk to you to get to your friend?
All the fucking time, dude.
God! How many times have we been out and all they wanted to do was talk to Scarlett?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I love Scarlett. She is beautiful, but it can be disheartening.
It is so upsetting.
when you're like, especially when like your friend isn't single and you're the
She's
single
married,
one
people.
who's like looking to have some validation and
Yeah.
looking to just feel good and feel like somebody finds you attractive.
Yep.
And then to like, just like they are not even interested in you. They just want to get to your friend.
Emotional, damn
And
it.
I actually had like a recent experience with this. It's like I crashed out over an ID photo
Oh my God, yeah, you did.
because I already don't have a lot of self-confidence. It got a lot better after I went to Ireland. I'll make that very clear. And it also got a lot
Good.
better after I dumped my ex.
Good.
But
Same.
big mood, man.
Big mood.
But I got this ID photo and it was like right after I dumped my ex, right? So I'm already like feeling badly about a lot of different things. I didn't feel badly about dumping him, but I felt badly just about how much I tolerated,
Fuck you, Keegan.
et cetera, et cetera. So I get this ID photo, and because they never take flattering photos of you. It was the
My photo's not
ugly-
bad.
Mine's always come out bad.
But also, this is the same photo I've had since I was 18.
Exactly. So like I get this photo and it's just this god awful ugly photo of me and I started hysterical crying.
Yep.
And
Take a look.
that's actually not a bad photo. Mine is pretty bad. I like don't even want to show it around. Like I hide it.
Just so y'all know, I'm showing them my ID photo, which is me taken. I'm not even kidding. When I was 18 years old, and honestly, I still look exactly the same.
I hide it behind all the things in my wallet because I don't want people to see it.
I
And
still look exactly the same. No one can tell me different.
I felt so badly about myself because what happens is like you go through these experiences of, oh, everyone just uses me to get to my hotter friends, or like, oh, no guy has ever bought me a drink, or oh, no guy has ever prioritized me the way that other men prioritize people. And if you're like me, you want certain things and they're never being met. And, you know, you get nervous. You feel like you have a biological
For real.
time clock. And then you get this photo of yourself. And you know that you're a good looking person, but you're like, I'm the ugliest human being alive. And then, funnily enough, that's why I ended up making a Hinge page. And then I got 400 matches and I felt a little better.
That is true. That is what spurred you to do it. And I encouraged it too. I was just like, just go on a dating app and watch all the fucking men flock to you because you're beautiful.
It's just like, it's hard. I feel like there's so much pressure. And this was actually something we talked about before getting in session. But I think especially post-COVID, because of the rise of certain types of social media like TikTok and
Yep.
like it's given rise to negatives on both sides, right? Like you have plenty of women that take advantage of certain things and are like, oh, I should always get free dinner whenever I go on a date, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But it's also given rise to a lot of misogynistic sentiment from men. Like one of the things that makes me so upset is seeing men talking about that any woman that wears any kind of makeup is catfishing them.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, no women are actually good looking. They're just catfishing. And like for me, I feel better when I wear makeup, right? Because I can cover up my rosacea, other things. And even though these men aren't talking about me directly, it makes me feel so badly about myself physically and about dating and thinking that these are things that like people think.
One thing I want to throw in there too, you can also throw in just like men who think that they're entitled to getting ass after paying for their food.
Bro!
But you could say the same thing where just like women expect men to pay for everything. Where it's just like,
Oh no, fully
Agreed.
Yeah.
if I pay for the food, is because I wanted to pay for your food, not because I have to, or it's expected of me.
Right.
Exactly. It's because you're being a gentleman.
That's the thing. I don't think a lot of and again, I'm going to use my age to lord over both of you. I don't think a lot of the Gen Z people, even if you are on the tail end of millennial, I don't want to hear it. Shut up. I can already see your face, News. Shut up.
Yeah.
Gen Zs do not have manners.
I agree. And
You
I think
guys don't have the social ineptitude to date.
I agree with you.
You have entitlement. You have all sorts of fucking shit where it's like, well, if this isn't what I'm getting, then this isn't what I want, then I'm going to be single forever, blah, 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 and then cry about being single. Meanwhile, not a single one of you has taken the time to actually, like, I don't know, fucking have manners. There's an etiquette that has somehow been lost in dating over the years through many different things. And listen, I'm not sitting here going women's lib, blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing that because everybody knows, you know, like, quote unquote, how many times did that jackass call me a feminist just because I wanted to be treated as a human being?
fucking A.
Yeah. So it is not feminism, you freaking orange maniac supporting assholes, if a woman wants to be treated as a fucking human being with thoughts and feelings. And hey, guess what? Because the same can go for the female maggots.
Yeah.
Men have feelings too. And they do not, just because they may not express them the way females do not deserve to be treated a certain type of way or taken advantage of simply because you think you got a bomb-ass pussy.
And I feel this like it's even worse with Gen Alpha because there's such a product of COVID. And like,
Yeah,
just
they
to use an
really
example, like I've even like, for example, my brother is like less than a year younger than me, right?
Irish twins.
And he tells me all the time on the phone about certain dates he's gone on. Like there have been like, and look, my brother is traditional in the way that he literally keeps a fund because he doesn't want a woman to pay for a first date. So he like puts money aside in his paycheck, every single paycheck, so that he has the money to pay for a nice dinner if he asks someone out, right? But here's the thing, like he's told me about women that he's gone out with that won't even say like, thank you for paying for dinner. And it's not because he's expecting someone to say thank you, but it's just the polite thing to do. Or like some girl told him once, like, oh, I thought this was going to be more exciting.
What?
And my brother was like, oh, what do you mean? And she was like, oh, like a helicopter ride or something. And my brother was like sitting there like,
Oh.
what? Like, I just paid like $200 for dinner.
They probably think this dude is made of money.
It's
What?
wild. And like, here's the thing. I always tell my brother, I'm like, it's nice that you actually pay because at least in my experience, granted, I'm getting back into dating.
Yes.
But in my experience, like the men never want to pay, or they go somewhere really, really, really cheap. So they don't have to really pay. And I think a lot of this came from like this COVID online culture where, as I said, it's exaggerated on both sides. Women think that the men should pay for everything and they should have a lobster dinner and they should be entitled to that.
Listen, I'm sorry. I was raised on a Bronx Tale.
Valid.
Okay, like I was raised with that kind of values. I was also raised Italian.
Yeah.
So the value, like, I may be Irish Italian, but I was raised with the Italian half. And a Bronx Tale was like the gospel of how you deal with a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Fucking like, and it also gave me insight on how I should be when it comes to the men that I choose, the men that I date. Like, maybe I'm old school because I am a millennial. I'm an elder millennial on top of everything else. I was taught differently. Yes, I would like the man to pay for the first date. I'll pay for the second if there is going to be a second date.
Yeah.
Like, I understand money is tight. I understand we live in a fucking insane world where everything is just so fucking crazy expensive. I'm not asking you to take me to fucking lobster dinner on our first date, but definitely don't take me to McDonald's.
For real. And I think the other thing,
That's for the third date.
yeah, right? Once you're like uncomfortable
That's
with each
when I'm
other,
comfortable.
you can go to McDonald's.
We can go to McDonald's as a late night snack and you can get me chicken nuggets.
No, exactly. And I think what's so crazy is me and my brothers talk about this a lot. We were raised right.
I don't think a lot of people are anymore.
And like, look, like my mom was a little tough on us sometimes growing up, but it's
Yeah.
like we look back and we're like, we don't have this entitled behavior.
Thank God.
We don't expect anything to come to us. Like we sit there and we're like, our mom and our dad like taught us to be very like respectful.
Mhm.
But then that was something that as I was getting older, my brother and I used to talk about it a lot. Like we would look at all these people around us in our same age group and they'd be like, mommy and daddy paid for my apartment. Mommy and daddy paid for my car. And we were like, what?
Privileged.
And they were like, oh,
Yep.
we're owed this because we're owed this. And it's like, no, you're not owed anything. You work for what you get. And the same applies for dating. It's like, you don't just get to have anybody you want because you want them.
Nope.
You need to
Put the effort in.
put effort in. You need to
Have that reciprocal energy.
reciprocal energy, like learn about each other, learn what it takes to be with each other. And if you're not really willing to do that, then stop wasting other people's time
That's, I think,
just
the
for
other
a quick
thing.
buck.
That's what I think the other thing a lot of people don't realize. And that's why, and this is something I could say about the older generations, that like they stuck together because they knew that things could be fixed. And even if it didn't get fixed, like prime example, my grandparents, God, rest in peace, Grandpa. We just lost him not too long ago. But my grandparents were very old school. My grandmother and my grandfather were never married. So therefore, they never slept in the same room. They were together for over 60 years, but still never slept in the same bed and did not sleep in the same room because they were old school like that. But they stuck together until the day my grandmother died. I'll never forget because towards the end of my grandmother's life, she was very ornery. She was very just not a happy person, very cranky.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking to see my grandfather leaning over my grandmother's corpse in the hospital and kiss her on the forehead so tenderly and go, "I'll see you soon, my girl. I'll see you soon." That right there, they hate, like, there were times where I was like, these people hate each other. My grandparents absolutely hate each other. No, they loved each other. They stuck together. They made it fucking work as best as they could for over 60 fucking years, and they weren't officially fucking married. Okay? My mom and my dad, my real dad, yes, they did get divorced. But my mom has been with my stepdad for over 25 motherfucking years. And there were so many times growing up that I thought that my stepdad was gonna leave. No, he made it fucking work. They tried and fixed it. I don't think that these generations now, including my own, do that.
It's like instant gratification.
Yeah.
And it's hard because there's that balance, right? Like, I know myself, even coming out of my previous relationship, that I gave so many benefits of the doubt because I wanted to make it work.
Witnessed.
But here's the, like, so what I mean is, like, there needs to be a happy medium, right?
Well,
Like, you need to be able to want to make things work, but you also need to get, like, a mutual respect in wanting to make those things work.
yes.
And I think a lot of this generation, personally, is very instant gratification. It's very, oh, I want something right now. And if I don't get it right now, I'm going to, like, stomp my feet. And I'm not even going to lie. It's like, especially as a woman, I think it's really hard because you're given very specific expectations.
What about you as a man, Nous?
Just want to weigh in on what she was saying. It's,
Yeah.
They're looking for essentially little effort, but all the results.
Yes. Agree. That's perfect. That's the perfect way to sum it up.
Right, but like,
One thing I will say though, a lot of the times I'm going I'm gonna blame the parents.
do it. Do it.
I'm gonna go here and blame the parents.
do
here.
it.
Mainly just because a lot of the times you can tell based off of how they're raised, exactly how they're gonna be with their partners. Especially when it comes to, oh yeah, I'm gonna use the women for example, right? Where it's just like, oh, my daddy buys this and buys that for me and buys, all the things that I want, I want this, this, and this, and just like, no.
Did you earn that?
Did you? First off, it's like you're literally. We haven't even gone past the first freaking date.
Whoa.
And you want to have like a full 5-star dinner, like
Out the window.
Nope.
like don't get me wrong, it's like if I want to treat you to it, cool, then you're gonna take it, but don't expect it. Like that's like one of those things where just like very, very entitled mindset.
It is.
It's a very entitled mindset. and
I
it's-
blame honestly also, and I'm not interrupting you, but
Yeah.
both of you can attest this because both of you have done it. I personally, I'm dating myself here. The last kind of website or app that I'm going to be talking about, I was on was called Plenty of Fish.
Oh, I know Plenty of Fish.
Right.
I've never been on it, but I know it.
It was a website back in the day.
Yeah, it's an
because
app now. I
it's an
think.
app now. But I do blame these apps. I blame Hinge, Bumble, Tinder. Right? Is it Tinder?
Tinder, yeah.
Tinder,
Like, I don't know what other dating apps there even are besides those like main
Those are like the
three.
main ones. Like, I'm only on one. Like, I'm only on Hinge right now. But I know people that are on like every single one.
I'll only blame those apps mainly for the social interaction where people don't know how to have a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I wouldn't really blame them for how people have expectations of a date.
Okay.
Not 100% at least.
Okay. But here's my question. Again, since
Yes.
I have no experience with these apps and you guys do, how hard is it to actually because I know that the apps actually made it really hard back in the day to have conversations. The men had to pay a certain fee on certain dating
They
websites.
have to do it now.
Yeah,
to be
for some
able
of
to
them.
message women that they're interested in, where the women didn't have to.
I'm you can call me one of those guys that wears a tinfoil hat.
Okay.
But when it comes to these dating apps, I so solemnly believe that when it comes to certain likes, either they're not allowing the other individual to see the messages right away, or they're keeping certain likes from being made. Maybe not, actually, maybe let me take that back. Maybe not the likes, but the messages for sure. I feel like there's some level of,
A filter?
I wouldn't really call it a filter. Maybe some interference of some kind,
Like an
by
AI or something?
I don't know if I would really call
Oh.
it AI. The main reason why I'm bringing that up is because it seems like when it comes to getting matches, a lot of the times when it comes to these apps, it's a little hard to believe that every single, at least in my experience, every single person I message, and I've experimented with starting
boy.
conversations differently.
Oh,
It's not like I
boy.
always start the conversation the same way. I literally would start conversations in different ways to see what would get a reaction or an actual response. And it seems like it wouldn't really matter what way I would respond or what way I would start the conversation some of the times.
Why?
When you say that, do you mean like before they match with you?
After.
After. Okay.
So they've already matched with me. They know they matched with me. At least
Because
by
they
this
hit
point.
yes?
Yes. So I'm positive it's just like, if I shoot a message, either they're not receiving it, or it could even be the case too, where maybe their DMs are blowing the fuck up.
That's what I was going to say.
That's also another case too.
Is it also could be the thing that Lavender was bringing up with the object permanence, where they'll see the message, they'll go to respond to the message, forget to respond, and then it just gets lost in the fucking shuffle.
Yeah, and that point, it's like, oh, I don't want to answer because now I seem like a dick. And like what I was going to say too is, I think,
Or if they send me a second message,
yeah, if
and
I s-
then I'll respond.
yeah, and then it's like I'm not trying to I feel bad because it's not like I'm trying to pry for this person's time or attention.
Right.
It's more of like I saw it, I'm gonna get back to it, but I haven't had the opportunity to just quite yet.
Yep.
And the other thing I would say, because you do have a point here, Nous, because I've noticed at least with Hinge, right? Like that's the only app I'm on.
Yeah.
I don't pay for any of that extra stuff. I know people that do. So on Hinge, they have like roses, right? So if somebody sends me a rose,
What does that even mean?
it's like an extra thing that either they have a certain amount you can do free for a day, or like you have to buy extras. They're like super likes essentially.
Okay.
Like if somebody like likes and saves your post on Instagram kind of thing.
So it would kind of like what? Move them to the front of the line?
It moves them to the
It
front of
makes
the
them
line.
stand out, pretty
And
much.
you can't look at any of your other matches except for whoever's at the front of the line.
Really?
Yeah. So let's say like somebody sent me
Yeah.
a rose and like I'm not all that interested, like I'm not sure if I'm interested or not. I can't just go to the next person and look. I need to either say yes or reject.
Oh, it forces you.
It forces me. Like,
It
and there are
forces
plenty
you
of
to
like
answer.
nice messages I have gotten from like the rose stuff, right?
Okay.
Like people who have actually sat down and read my profile and like pick out certain things that they're like, oh, I think it's really cool that you like A, B, and C. And I'll usually respond. But like that's part of the reason I'm having so much trouble going through the Hinge thing because there's like 400 plus people that like me. But whoa, I sometimes struggle with, because I'm the kind of person that like I can't really really know if I like somebody until I have more of a bearing of like their personality.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's hard because these dating apps have like gamified dating.
And you want to know something too? It's a good thing
My God.
Somebody is like really wants depression to take it.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing you mentioned that because it did remind me. I also did test with paying for certain things too.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
And it paying for certain things on these types of apps too made it's crazy, but it made people respond more for some weird reason.
By paying for it?
Like if there was a subscription based thing or if it was anything, apparently all of a sudden people were responding so quickly.
Kind of like this rose thing I'm telling you. It's probably
Exactly.
something similar.
Like people were responding a lot more when I had a was paying for a subscription on these dating apps things. People would actually respond more frequently.
and that's how they
which-
get you to pay.
Exactly. That's why I think this is why I brought up
you get your money.
exactly.
That's
That's
how
why
you
I was
get
thinking
your
before. I'm
money.
just like, there's no way that I'm messaging all these people,
Yeah, that's not. No.
and it's just like you're telling me one out of like these 30, 40, 50 people that I've liked and sent messages to, you're telling me not one even respond? Like that's a little highly unlikely.
The math ain't mathin'.
Exactly. So I'm just like, I don't believe it. Listen, I'm not saying I'm Mr. Suave and I can like literally pull any chick or whatever.
You sure
But-
about that?
Sure about that? I
My
love you,
char-
Tim Robbins.
My charisma could be up, but that's
My
the thing.
charisma. You rolled a nat 20 on that.
I guess so.
D&D reference.
But I think that's more when it's more of an in-person interaction. When there's a computer and a screen involved, that's harder
Why?
because there's no physical interaction. There's no way to hide in the sense. In this
Yeah.
case, like from the conversation. Like if someone engages you in a conversation, like, hey, how's it going? You know, how's your night? You know, blah, blah, and you engage in some sort of small talk, you know?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, honestly, call me old school. Fuck it. I like doing that.
Me
Actually,
too.
I like it a lot better than going through these dating apps, and I fucking hate it. I've since then I've disowned dating apps, and I just don't bother with them anymore.
I get it.
So
like
I was
part
just like,
of
I
the
mean,
only reason I
is-
even download them again is that's the way people meet each other kind of now.
I wouldn't know.
You know?
I wouldn't know. I haven't had that problem in over a decade.
Valid.
And it's not like it's a problem. I just haven't. Okay, here's my experience with dating apps. I mentioned Plenty of Fish. It was the last dating app I had ever been on, correct? The reason why I never got on another dating app after that is because that was the reason why I met let me not call him stupid because we're chill now. But that's the reason why I met my ex-fiance. And we met on fucking Plenty of Fish when I was 23, 24. And he was 12 years older than I am. You know, and on Plenty of Fish, you know, obviously, also, there was another site that I was on for a while called Hot or Not.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
That site
Sounds awful.
is one of the reasons why I feel that I am ugly as sin. Because that website is the worst for your self-fucking esteem. I don't even know if it still exists. I hope it doesn't. But holy fucking shit, people were allowed to rate your fucking picture on a 0 to 10 scale.
Yep.
And then they would average it out. Now, me, not to brag or anything, but I was always hovering between a 7 or an 8 in my average, which I guess is good, you know?
I would rate you a little bit higher than if that's the case. I'm probably ranging around a 3 or a 2.
No, but this is the other thing. It's like, remember, they're only basing this based on your picture. They have no
Yeah.
idea what your personality is like, no idea how you are as a person. They're only rating you on what you look like. And yeah, in my 20s, I was pretty cute. I think so. I mean, I say that now, but I have horrible body dysmorphia, so I actually don't ever believe that I'm beautiful or cute
Valid.
or hot
I
or
get
whatever
that.
to this day. And it's not me fishing for compliments or wanting validation. It's literally because I look in the mirror and I see a amorphous blob with colored hair.
Yeah.
So for me, meeting people off those apps was very, very hard to do. And I did it. I did meet a couple of them off those apps. I did end up dating my, guy who became my fiance. And it did not end well. It did not end well. And that was like really the only experience I ever had with dating apps, because after that, I never really had a problem finding somebody else to get into a relationship with. Thanks to what I did for a living. That's how I met, certain exes. Through friends. I met people and I hit it off. That's how I met my husband, was through a friend, a mutual friend that I'd had since high school. That's how I met my 10 years ago, almost, as how I met my husband, was through a friend. The vampire community is also another way that I met a ton of people. Did I date a ton of people? Fuck no. But the ones that I did date, I met through there. Like, I met them organically. I didn't need a dating app. I didn't need all that. Yes, we use electronic communication, but I met them in person first.
Yeah, and I think that's like, it also is hard depending on like groups you run in, right? Like, for example, like all of my friends are married
And gay.
and gay. So I'm kind of just like,
It's the theater kid curse.
it's kind of like I sit there and I'm like, it stinks because like my mom used to ask me all the time. She was like, why can't your friends like introduce you to somebody? And I'm like, because all my friends are friends with other married people. And that can be like a little lonely sometimes. And it
Feel
doesn't
that.
mean that like you don't love your friends' spouses and you're not friends with your friends' spouses and you don't all get along. But it can be really lonely when you're like the only single person amongst a group of married and or otherwise connected people,
I completely agree with that. As a guy who has a small circle of brothers, I call friends who I call brothers. I'm literally like one of the few that's just like, yeah, I'm not married.
No, I
So,
get it.
but the rest are pretty much, if they're not already there, they're just about to be. So it's just like they're already buying their own homes. They're
Yeah.
already like, So
That's
it's
a
just
thing.
like, yeah.
That is a thing.
So
A lot of people don't realize that. Like, yeah, it's so weird because like you two being single and stuff, and then like I'm trying to relate about dating, and I haven't in years. And it makes it worse is because I am poly, so dating when you're married as a poly person, fuck, no, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not a fun time. No, especially when your partner is monogamous.
Yeah.
So that is always a problem. And then how, like, even if I wanted to, how would I even meet people now? Like, I don't know. I'm at the game for so fucking long. I don't even know. And then like I hear these horror stories from you, Lav, and from you, Nous, about your ex-partners, and I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Like hell, I literally just went on a date. What was it, yesterday? Doesn't even feel like it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday because it was Thursday night
yeah.
where
Oh my god.
I had met
this is
someone off of a
funny.
dating app. And like we went to this bar and, it literally got to a point, like we had one drink and, we were just chatting about WWE, generalist stuff, more like bro-y stuff, to be honest. But then it gets around to me being like, oh, what do you do for work? And he's like, oh, I'm a student. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. He goes, oh, like I'm a law student. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, blah, 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 blah. And then he asked me, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a marketing executive. I just finished setting up all of my sales team to be able to go to con in France. I'm working on these activations in A, B, and C place. You never saw a boy's dick get smaller and smaller than realizing that my professional dick was bigger than his. And it sucked because it was literally like, one, I've already decided I'm not minimizing myself for anyone anymore.
You better not.
And two, it's like, then after hearing that I have a career, essentially, he closed our tab because, you know, the bartender tried to go up and be like, oh, do you want another drink? And I was like, oh, do you want it? He's like, oh, I'm closing out. Went to
My
the bathroom.
stomach hurts.
And then made up this excuse that his stomach hurt. We didn't even hang out for like a full hour.
No. And I know this because I was on standby for rescuing of Nightmare Date if he was a serial killer.
And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, what is up with, at least this has been my experience with my ex-partner and now like this like recent date. Like, what is it with like certain men feeling very intimidated by women that have a place of prominence in a professional space? Because that has actually been, I saw it in real time, a turnoff.
News, you want to field that one since you have the penis?
Sure. I guess it's more just like it comes down to a social thing where it's just like men are expected to always be the breadwinners. They're always expected to be just like, I need to be the one in the house paying the bills, bringing food to the table, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Where it's just like, it's okay if your wife makes more money than you. It shouldn't really be an issue, you know, but it's a social thing. That's literally what it is. It's how it's been for so many years prior to 2025.
True.
So it's just like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I guess in a sense, like
The social construct?
the social, yeah, exactly, the social construct. It's like it puts men in a position where just like, oh, you're less of a man now because your wife makes more than you.
It's just like really
That's not even true.
strange to me. And like,
No, I know.
and I want to ask your opinion of this
Sure, go
news,
ahead.
especially as the person with the penis here, the non-metaphorical penis. I feel like with the rise of TikTok and these like this broy podcast culture,
Andrew Tate people?
I feel like it's just gotten worse. Because my own ex-partner was secretly, really not so secretly because everyone else can tell, I felt secretly very unhappy that I was doing well in my career and used it against me and used it as a reason to make me feel bad. And then going on this date and this guy automatically being turned off that I had a career was very like jarring. And I feel like a lot of it connects to this COVID into post-COVID, very amplified Andrew Tate kind of voice that's taken over.
You know what? You want to know something? In my own like feelings towards a situation like that, and be like, I have no issues being a stay-at-home dad.
You're a
or
good one.
husband, or husband, because it's one of those things. You're just like, hey, if you're making all the money, I have more time for my hobbies.
And
That's
hey,
the way I
you know
see
what?
it.
Here's the other thing.
This is why you need a noose.
This is why you need a noose in your life, honestly. And here's the other thing. And, you know, not to put you on the spot, but like, what if one of those hobbies happens to be your partner? That means that if they happen to be the stay-at-home partner and they make you one of their priorities, then you're never going to want or need for anything. You're not going to want to, like, you know, complain, oh, well, this isn't getting done or this isn't happening, because they're going to go out of their way to make you feel
Exactly.
valued. And I kind of feel like in this dating culture that we're in now, we don't have that valuing of the partner.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Because of that instant gratification that you were mentioning earlier, Lav, that I'm not getting what I want. Fuck you. I'm going to go get it from somebody else. And that is also a problem between the Andrew Tate culture and the uber feminist.
Agreed.
One thing I'm going to throw in here, and this is for all the men. If you're not with someone and you don't know how to cook for yourself, you don't know how to clean your own fucking clothes, you don't know how to wash your own fucking dishes,
You don't know how to clean your house.
In general, if you don't know how to fucking take care of yourself without having someone there, you're not a man.
No.
I love you, Nous.
I'm just saying this because I'm someone who's self-sufficient. I take care of myself. I do my own fucking shit. Oh, it's like, but you know, things always get so overwhelming with certain shit. It's like, all right, well, guess what?
Go do it.
Fucking suck it up. That's it. I still get shit done one way or another.
Listen. I will never say no to being taken care of.
But I understand that. I'm not denying that. But the reason why I'm stating that is because people should be self-sufficient while they're without a partner
Yes.
and when they're with a partner.
Yes.
Because then at least, especially if it's two people that are self-sufficient and they're capable of taking care of themselves in and out of the relationship, what makes that even better is that, someone is slacking a little bit more and they need the other person to pick up a little bit more on the slack. All right, cool. Don't worry. I got you. No worries.
Yeah, that's called partnership.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't understand that when you're when you're in these talking phases, you know, and I'm going to call them phases because that's exactly what they are. These talking phases that people are in because of these, you know, things that they feel. I feel like it goes through these stages where it's like you meet, cool. You're at the meeting stage. Then once you get to know each other, it is now the getting to know each other's phase where you're seeing where each other's values are, where your morals are, where your goals lie, where if you're compatible or not. And a lot of people get, for lack of a better word, vagitised or dickmatized because during this getting to know you phase, a lot of people end up sleeping together. And they think that because the dick is good or the vagina is good or, you know, the ass is good, however the fuck you want, however you do it, or, you know, and I'm not forgetting my asexual peeps. I'm not. But a lot of people value a relationship based on sex than they do based on personality.
Yep.
A lot of people sit there and say, oh, the sex is good, the relationship's going to be bomb. And they're not sitting there and thinking, oh, okay, this person doesn't have the same ideals as me. This person doesn't have the same values as me. This person doesn't have the same outlook as me. Like, and trust me, those are fixable issues as long as you can find a common ground. But if you're with somebody that is like just the fucking worst, but you stick with them because the dick is amazing, you're never going to be happy.
Never worth it.
Not worth it.
The worst is when the dick isn't amazing and you stick with them anyway.
Because you were in love.
Exactly.
There's a difference.
There
It's
is.
not you stuck with him because, you know, you didn't care. You stuck with him because you thought you were in love.
Exactly. And like, you know, I also think the big thing with dating now too is I feel like things ever since post-COVID are very transactional.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, like there is an expectation for everything. And like, for example, like I like going on this one date yesterday, right? Like I personally didn't go in there transactionally. But obviously, in my opinion, I feel like he was expecting a certain thing. And as soon as he was like, "Oh, she's not just like
Womp womp.
like sitting around and would be waiting on my bended knee," I was suddenly like a bad person to go out with. Like it's this weird like transactional thing. And I've seen it on both sides of the fence, right? It's like my brother was telling me about this girl that he took on a few dates and he seemed to really like her, but she like never said thank you for anything. She was never polite. She never really engaged with him. And he was like, well, I need to call it off because at this point, our dates are just transactional. She comes, she gets a free dinner, and then she doesn't even act all that interested to talk to me.
Nah, I'm good with that. Like, if I'm dating you, right, and it's all about you, never any type of way where it's also about me, because I have dated someone like that where it was literally just all about them, constantly about them and their problems, and If I brought up anything, well, I don't care about what you think. I don't care about what you're talking about.
Or it's like, stop complaining.
Yeah. Like, or you should look at it from a different point of view, or you should do this, or you should do that. And then in the end, I'm still sitting there constantly having to listen to the wah, 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 wah,
One
fucking
thing I will
bullshit.
say personally,
So
I am
real.
a fixer type of person. So
And that's not always necessarily a bad thing, though. There's definitely a
I know,
difference.
but I know some people tend to get annoyed with that. It's just like I don't want solutions. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Like, I think a good example is, for example, I dated this guy for a few months that his mom was actually really good friends with my mom at work, right? And essentially what he did with me was he wanted, as I came to figure out when he dumped me, he essentially just wanted me so that he would have someone cute on his arm for this New Year's Eve party he went to every year at his friend's place. So he essentially love bombed the shit out of me. And of course, I was like soaking it up because I was like, this was after my ex Richard, which was a whole other can of worms we can't even start to get into.
Dick.
But I just felt good to feel like somebody loved me that much. And then as soon as we came back and he had that use of me, he says to me, "Oh, I don't want to be with you anymore." And I just asked like, "Oh, I'm like a little confused. Like, can you please tell me why?" And the response was, "You're too much and you're too little." And I held that with me for a really long time.
That bothers me.
That bothers me too.
It's kind of like, okay, so you love bombed the shit out of me because you wanted to have a cute girl next to you in a picture on Instagram at your friend's New Year's Eve party, but you didn't really like or respect me. And then your response is, "Well, you're too much and you're too little." It's like, I don't know. I feel like men have lost that kind of like, and this goes for everybody in the dating pool, to be honest. I feel like they've lost that kind of sense of like how much my grandpa loved my grandma. Like that was his true love. And he talked about her every day as his true love. Even before she passed, whenever she came up, like he used to actually have a photo of her of like this beautiful black and white photo with her in her nightgown that he kept all the time at his bed. And it's like, that's the kind of romance I feel like we're missing. Everything is about, you need to be the perfect person.
Nope.
Everybody has to be perfect. You can't be too much of anything or
Bullshit.
too little of anything.
Yeah.
Because to give some context, his reasoning for too much and too little was because I was more comfortable and outgoing around my friends.
Yep.
And then when I was, after not knowing any of his friends, asked to go to this New Year's Eve party to stay at somebody's home that I didn't know them. And they were all from where I grew up. And admittedly, they were trying to gossip with me about people that grew up in our neighborhood. And I didn't really want to be involved in that. And then I was too little because I didn't feel comfortable in that situation.
I don't think that you were wrong in that situation at all.
No.
And this is the same guy that, like, when we went on a date, he didn't want his mom to know we were dating. And it was in the middle of the winter, and I got into his house a little early, and he made me wait outside in the cold
Revolution.
What?
until he was done getting dressed.
Revolution.
And I was like, but it's cold outside. And he was like, you have to wait outside. I don't want my mom to see you.
Revolution.
That's wild.
So like, and what really like annoys me is then these men think this is normal because they keep getting away with it.
Revolution.
Like, this is the guy I told you about that I had a crash out about when I saw
know.
him on the Paladins of Cosplay page.
Yep. The one that you told me that if I see in person to go and kill.
Yeah, because
And
I
I
was like,
almost-
this guy's an abuser.
And I literally almost did because we saw him at Comic-Con, you and I, when I was dressed as Agatha and
Yep.
you were as the Scarlet Witch. And literally, Diginan grabbed me and said, "No, you are not." I'm like, "Let me do it." And this Lavender's over here going, "Do it."
do it.
And I'm just like, done.
And that's one of the few cases where I literally was the bird on the shoulder going, do it. Because I sat there and I'm like, so you're going to let this guy around other women, and I'm sure he hasn't learned his lesson. He's
Nope.
just being enabled.
Yep.
Because like
And it-
maybe
it was-
abuse was too strong of a word for me to use, but like he was toxic.
And you crashed out real hard because he was in my my Fallout group
Yeah.
photo. And I'm sitting there, I'm dressed as a full fucking badass, wearing my actual fucking bulletproof vest that I had from work. And I had real weapons on me. And I'm sitting there going, let me do it. I'm gonna do it. And they're just like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna make it look like an accident or part of the fucking photo shoot. But what I did instead was very scathingly when they asked to take a photo with me, I was like, ew, why would I ever take a photo with you? Because you're pretty. I don't want to go. No, I heard you have a very small penis. Bye. Which I don't think I ever told you.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. I don't like, because I am that kind of bitch where I may not hurt you physically, but I am going to put a fucking thought in your brain that will sit there forever and fester.
Good. That's revenge.
Hey, wait, you don't even know me, but I heard you got a small dick. Mine.
Somebody else I know knows you.
I don't need to explain that. I can literally look at somebody and just be like, small dick energy, bye.
That's the same guy. I had to force him to return my copy of Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh.
Like, this guy was love bombing me so much that I let him have my most prized possession.
No.
I couldn't do that.
So it's kind of like, and I'm talking about like, this is my copy that's like falling apart. It's rubber banded together. It is the most precious thing in my life.
Yeah.
And he, like, and I was like, you have to fucking give it back to me. And if you don't, I will literally ruin your life. So it's kind of like, and I think that's what I mean by transactional. Like, that whole relationship, while I thought it was a relationship, it was really just transactional because he just wanted a hot girl to show off on Instagram.
Yeah. What about you, Nous? Have you had just mostly transactional relationships, especially off of these like websites?
Oh hell yeah! It's all. When it comes, I'm gonna say this: when it comes to the guys, and I'm pretty sure the women too, but I know for a fact that comes a lot with the guys is that a lot of times it does tend to be transactional. Mainly just because, I mean, we talked about it before, especially when it comes to the expectations of like, oh, the guy should always pay for the date.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, the guy should always pay for this. The guy should always pay for that.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
At that point, it becomes a transactional thing where it's just like,
Okay, you're paying for it, now give me pussy.
yeah, it's like, and it's just like, oh, if you're expecting that out of me, then it's like, all right, then I'm expecting ass. It's
Yeah.
just like,
No, exactly. It's very strange.
So strange.
so it's just like, it's one of those things. Like, it's one thing if I pay for my food and you pay for your shit. It's like, all right, cool.
Going Dutch is a thing, people.
Wild concept, right? You
Mhm.
can split things.
Wild concept. One person can pay for the meal or the outing one day, and another person the next time, if they got it, can pay for it.
But then if you gotta also think about it this way too, they could do that, but then they can just bail on the next date.
That is true.
You also gotta think about it that way. That's
Eh.
why I would agree, honestly, in like just splitting,
Dutch,
like how Lavender
going
is
Dutch.
saying. Yeah,
Exactly.
just splitting everything is just like, all right, nobody can complain, nobody can bitch, everybody pays for their own shit. Cool.
I've
That's
also
it.
had men get like offended if I'm trying to be nice and offer to pay.
I'm okay with people offering to pay.
I've done
Or-
that.
And in this case, like,
I've done that.
oh, like in my case, like, I know for me, I offer to pay for the full meal, some shit like that. Like that I will do. But that's
Right.
because I'm offering to do it and I'm going
Right,
to do
because it wasn't expected.
it. Not expected, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but for the vast majority, they can either do it, they cannot do it. It's up to them. It's
Yeah.
up to the person.
So,
Exactly.
final thoughts on dating in a post-COVID world and these dating apps, and honestly just not having a conducive culture for organic meet cutes and dating.
I think we need to get back to like, even if it's like hosting events so more people can meet in person.
Speed dating is still a thing.
But like, I'm somebody who needs like an activity, which sounds like silly, but I need
No,
like
it
an
doesn't.
activity to get me out of the house. So if there's something like,
Dancing.
yeah, like dance. Well, Nous saw how much I like to dance. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy it.
I will say this. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. 'Cause this is how my like back in my parents' time, they would always go to clubs. They would always do this. They would always do that. They would go to festivals and stuff where they would just dance, and that's how they.
Are your
essentially-
parents my generation? The fuck?
most likely?
Fuck you! No!
Rest in peace.
They're probably Gen Z. No, Gen X.
But
They're
that's
probably
how
like my mom, dude.
that's how people used to meet each other back in the day. Honestly, I'm all for it.
That's true.
I'm all for it because it's a better way of just interacting with people. You don't have people hiding behind a screen.
No.
You actually verbally and physically interact with them. You know, it's one of those things where it's just, and also it's good social skills. Like it builds good social skills.
Agreed.
I will be one to admit I had to build those social skills.
I believe it.
So it's just like, you know, it's one of those things.
I'm not hating on the fact that like we did transfer to screens because remember you're talking about a lot of people that extroverted people can do. But then we have on the other side of the spectrum, we have very introverted, very neurodivergent, very shy to the point of unable to actually like go out and leave their house. And this may be their only way and form of communication.
Then maybe the thing is we need to start, even if we are behind screens, we need to start remembering that people behind screens are people.
That was a really good point.
They're not a transactional expense. They're not, oh, maybe I'll get like one good hookup out of it, unless that's your purpose for using a certain app, because there are
agree.
apps like that.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to remember that like people are people and you should be kind to people regardless, unless they're unkind to you.
It costs nothing to be kind.
Exactly. And I think that's what's missing. And too much of that sphere of influence to be unkind is coming from these extremist views, I feel like, from that were going on during COVID and were given platform because of things like TikTok.
I don't disagree. Final thoughts, guys.
One thing I will say is just, at least when it came to me, pretty introverted, but became extroverted. So
I'm dealing with an introverted extrovert on the podcast.
yes,
Got it.
Welcome to ambivert, my love.
so, yes.
Yes. Listen, I cannot really weigh in here because unfortunately I didn't really have the experience that you guys had during COVID and, you know, having to date all that crap. I was lucky enough to not have to deal with that bullshit. Not to say that I haven't dealt with it in my past, but I'm lucky enough to not really be able to relate to what you guys are going through. But I can emphasize with the fact that people are just shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the good ones are taken or they're dead.
that too.
That's also true.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on this for me are just remember that the person you're talking to is not a walking, talking meal ticket or a fucking hole to stick it in or a piece of ass. Remember, they actually have thoughts and feelings. And, you know, maybe if you actually get past the fact that, like, you're a piece of shit, you might actually find somebody that you like.
Truth.
Yep.
So anything else to add, guys? Because if not, I'm going to call it.
I would say last thing to add is stop curating yourself so small to look great on these dating apps, because I did it for a really long time. It's not worth it. You'll never find yourself fulfilled in whatever type of relationship you pursue with that mentality. And just be your fullest self, whether you're doing it on a dating app or doing it out at speed dating or at a meet cute. Like, don't dull yourself for anyone. It's not worth it.
What about you, Nous?
I guess my add-ons would be: don't expect people to be a pocket or wallet.
Yeah,
for,
I like that.
I like
for
that.
for your dates.
I like it.
So
All right, Phoenix Nation. On that note, I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of us bitching. And I hope you'll tune in to all the other stuff. Follow us on all of our social media, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.